Hello friends, today is the 5th Sunday of the month and you know what that means. We are crafting with friends. I sent 2 of my YouTube friends the exact same things I'm going to craft with today to see how we craft differently, how we create differently. I'll explain a little bit more of that later on in the video, but right now I'm ready to show you what I made with these craft supplies. Let's get started. So this is what I sent to the other gals that we're creating with today, and it's this chunk of wood that I got at a crafty thrifting store. I have no idea what it was used for. It's heavier than snot, and we're gonna make something beautiful out of it. I sent them 2 spindles. I sent them some beautiful chiffon ribbon. I sent 2 little tiny miniature glass bottles. Can't wait to see what they did with those. I sent a whole lot of these clothespins because I got them at that thrifting store in a huge bag, so I have a lot of them. And these little cute shadow boxes from Dollar Tree. And I also got these from the thrifting craft store, and they are beautiful. Okay, I'm going to start with this tin tile decor piece, and I'm just going to sand it down a little bit and bring back some of that original tin that's underneath it. And then I decided that I wanted to use some dark wax. I really wish that I would have used some clear wax first, but I didn't. I just went right straight in with the dark wax. And then as I tried to wipe it off, it didn't want to wipe off too much, because the paint that was already on there, you may know what I'm talking about. It was that real flat matte paint, and it just sucked up this wax. But it's okay. I like how it turns out in the end. I did just the outside border with it. I went over it with some clear wax, and then I just went over the inside of it with what was on the brush, if that makes sense. And then I just sort of pulled some of that dark wax in. The inside is really what I wanted the outside to look like, but wait till you see the end result and you're going to say, oh, it looks good. Then I went back in, sanded a little more, waxed a little more until I just got the look that I wanted. You know how we do as crafters. We just keep working at it until we get it how we want it to look. Now this little doorknob plate, I don't know what they're actually called. I sanded it down a little bit to get any kind of oil or grease or hand, from our hands off of it. Then I'm going to use this. I showed you which transfer pack it was. I wasn't even paying attention, but these little florals are so pretty, and I just cut it down to fit inside here, and I'm just going to apply it. So these transfers, you just take it off that little backing sheet, and it has a little vellum piece on top, and I'm just going to press down with the little plastic spatula type tool that comes with it until I've rubbed over the entire top. And then I'm just going to peel back that little vellum sheet that it's attached to, and it will begin to lift off. Now this metal door plate has some chippy paint on it, so I'm going to just go slowly until I get all of that transfer up off of there. Now sometimes it doesn't want to all come off, and that's okay, because this is rustic and we don't really care if it all comes off, right? I did a similar one of these in last week's video. You might remember it was a little shabby chic white one, and it turned out really pretty. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make one of these, and I'm going to put it in the middle of that beautiful tile that I just put all that dark wax on. And I'm just going to keep using little bits and pieces of this transfer as if the flowers are coming in off the sides. And I just put little leaves and little flowers, floral pieces all over this door plate. And I think it just looks beautiful. This is what it looked like when I got finished. And then I found this imitation antique replica key that I got. It's in my stash. I get them on Amazon. I have them in my Amazon store if you're interested in trying to get some for yourself. And then I took this ribbon that I get at Sam's. Sam's has great ribbon, don't snooze. They usually have it in the spring around Easter time and Christmas. And it's not always just seasonal. Like a lot of times they'll have black and white check or something that's good for, year round. Now I'm going to take that dark wax, whatever's just left in the brush, and I'm going to grunge that up a little bit. It was a little too stark for this project. I'm going to take a little bit of this tan and white baker's twine that I had in my stash, and sometimes I just have little bits and pieces of stuff left, and this is a good time to use it up. And then I remembered that I had this jar of vintage buttons, and I thought that would be pretty inside in the middle of that bow. So I poured them out, and voila, right there, that one I decided was going to look beautiful. I'm sorry that I'm a little bit out of frame, but this was kind of a big project, and I didn't realize I was out of frame there. I'm going to put some hot glue on the bow, and I'm going to glue it to our piece and hope that it stays stuck, because I do have that wax on there. But if it comes off, we'll just glue it back on. I thought that I was going to use that super glue, but I decided I'm just going to use the hot glue. I'm going to glue that. You can see what I'm doing. I'm going to glue that little piece of twine around there, that baker's twine around there, and then I'm just going to glue that button in the center. I do believe that I may have glued that key down a little bit. Now, this plate would not stick because it's recessed, so I did put a little piece of cardboard down so that it would have some place to attach to. And this is how it turned out. Let me know what you think about this. For this month's collab, I chose Tiffany from Simply Blessed Crafts and Brandi from the DIY Struggle. They are two amazing women. They are small business owners. They are very creative, very funny, very entertaining, and their videos will be linked in the description box below, as well as their channels. I highly encourage you to go and check them out and see what they created with these same things that I'm using to create my DIYs with. Now I'm going to use the little shadow box from Dollar Tree with some vintage linen and faded burlap, and I'm going to mix it to be the color in the background of this decoupage paper. This decoupage paper came from Brandi's website, the DIY Struggle TDS, the TDS decoupage paper. It is so beautiful. She was so sweet and so kind to share some with me, and I cannot get enough of it. So I just mixed a little bit of these two paints together to create this beautiful color, and I'm going to paint it on the inside because we're going to decoupage some of that paper in there. And if it doesn't go all the way to the edge, or if you get a little bit of see-through, we just want it to be all cohesive. I'm going to take millinery, I don't know why that is so hard for me to say. Every time I try to say this paint color, it just gets my tongue all twisted up. I'm going to paint the sides, the inside, and the back side of this little shadow box with that beautiful, it's kind of a purpley mauvey color. And I'm going to just trace around where I want this, and I always forget that you have to allow for that thickness of the frame. So I cut it, and then I decided I would just wet the edges and rip it. I really wanted to cut it and have a smooth edge in there, and then I was like, oh, well, I forgot that I had to allow for that because, math is not my forte, and measurements are they just get me every time. So I just wet the edges down, and then I just took my little tweezers and just picked it off because I didn't need to take a whole lot off because I didn't want a lot of extra space around the edges. So I just took those tweezers, and it went really fast, and I just picked off just enough so that I could fit it in the inside of our little box. Now I'm going to take Mod Podge, which is my favorite decoupage medium. I'm going to take my fan brush from my TDS fan brush from Brandi's website. I love to use them for decoupage. They work fantastic. I'm going to, I spritzed my decoupage paper, and then I decided that I was going to use some clear wax and wax my paint first. Not sure why I decided to do that, but do not try to make sense of why I do things the way I do, folks. Just let me entertain you. I won't sing or dance, but I will create and make you wonder, I wonder why she did that like that, because I would have never done that. Okay, so now we're going to Mod Podge. So I am going to just put a little Mod Podge down. My paper is wet, and then I'm going to just run what's left on my brush over the top to smooth it down. The trick to this is wetting the decoupage paper. I used to just really not like to decoupage because the paper always wrinkled, but the trick is having it wet or, damp. I do still love the iron-on method best, but this method works great. Now, I'm going to use these 2 little glass bottles. They are so tiny, and I had this little pampas grass type stuff in my stash, and I never use it for anything, and I thought this would be so cute in these little bottles. So I'm cutting it down to where I think it looks good. And honestly, when I looked back at the pictures when I was doing editing, I thought I probably could have added even a little bit more in there, and I may go back and throw a couple extra little pieces in there. And I'm going to take a little bit of my green chiffon ribbon and give each one of these little bottles a little bow tie. And I did both bottles the exact same way in order for this video not to be 3 hours long. If I do something to one thing and I say I did them both the same way, I'm not going to show you the second one because that would be redundant and unnecessary. So I'm going, voila, now they're both done. And I'm going to just stick a little bit of hot glue in there, and I'm going to glue them down. I'm going to just see where I want to place that one and put a little bit of hot glue and set them in there. And then I thought it would be cute to put the little corks down like they had, fallen off or something. I don't know why I thought it would be cute, but then when I was looking at the pictures, I thought, oh, I should have placed them over to the left a little bit, but it's still cute. It's still cute. Okay, pick and poke and make it look cute. And this is how it turned out. I'm going to use 3 of the little wooden clothespins, and I'm going to take some Dark and Decrepit by DIY, and I'm using a wet wipe, and I'm just going to put a little on the wet wipe and rub it on there so that it looks like a stain. I love to do this method. I learned this from Sammy over at Unicorn Dust Designs. She was doing this, and I thought, wow, that's incredible. And there's no smell or wait time, dry time like there is with stain. So this is a great method. And then I had this little tag in my stash, and I love these little tags. I got them on Amazon, and I'm going to use Faded Burlap by DIY and just give it a little coat of paint. And what am I going to do next? Oh, I have these stickers, and I got these. Oh, I don't know if I got these from Temu or Amazon or somewhere a very long time ago. And I have been using them and using them. I've shared them with friends, and I still have some. This is just like the craft stash that keeps on giving. And I'm just going to stick it on there. It's a sticker, and they're very, very thin. And I'm going to just, you can see what I'm doing, sanding away the excess. I'm going to poke that hole in there. Then I'm going to take some burlap twine, some jute twine. Now, first I'm going to glue them together. Let me not get ahead of myself. Let's glue them together and then wrap them with some jute twine. Now, you will see me using DIY and IOD products on my channel, and I get mine from Sammy at unicorndustdesigns.com. So if you are interested and you do not have a stockist, head on over to her website Her website will be linked in the description box of every one of my videos. Not only is she an amazing creator and a businesswoman, but she's also a friend of mine. And the TDS products that I use from Brandi, her website will also always be in my description box as well. Now I'm going to use some more of the chiffon ribbon. Just, you can see that I'm cutting it down and making thinner strips, and then I just rip those little strings out to make it have that rough edge. I'm going to take my tweezers and just poke it through the hole and pull it through the hole and just tie a little knot in the top, and then I didn't even tie a knot, I just tied it one time, and then I'll tie a knot with the twine on top of that to keep it in place, and that's it. That is it. So simple, but it's so cute to put on a tier tray or add to a little vignette. Now for the spindles. I'm going to use Prom Queen by DIY. I don't use this color very often. I have about half a jar left, so I guess I've used it some. I don't use it very often, but it's a beautiful blue color. Blue is my favorite color. A lot of people think it's purple because I have purple in my hair, but blue is my favorite color. Almost every shade of blue I love. But I'm going to paint this whole thing, and I believe I gave it 2 coats. And then I'm going to take the Flora and Vine stamp from IOD. It's from the 2025 spring collection. It's got some beautiful, beautiful stamps in here. They are vines like borders, and then there are some little florals too. So I decided to take this one. I was using this little piece of plastic as a, to help me. And then I decided that that thing was like hindering me versus helping me. But I'm just inking up that little stamp and then just making this vine kind of crawl up the spindle, if you will. But you can see how that plastic is just, it's getting in my way. And it's kind of making it hard for me to figure out what I'm doing. So finally, I ripped that thing off of there, and I just started using it without it, and it went so much faster. So you can see then that the stamp will, because it's flexible, it will just wrap right around there. Oh my goodness, so much easier. Let's work smarter and not harder while we craft. It takes me a minute to figure that out sometimes. So I did it all the way to the top on both sides, and then just put it wherever I thought it looked like it needed to go. And then I found one that had this cute little flower on it. It's the same stamp collection. And then I just went in. I only put ink on the flower, just on the flower. And then I went in wherever I wanted that flower to be. I just stuck it on the vines. I'm trying to keep this thing from rolling around. My craft cottage is, on blocks. So when the ground shifts, so does my craft cottage. So sometimes my table is not level, so things kind of roll around on me. So if I'm doing spindles or something like that, I have to kind of prop things up. So you can see I'm kind of twisting it around, trying to see where I want the little flowers to be, where I think it looks good. I don't want too much, but I don't want there to be blank places. Okay, I used my heat gun and made sure that this ink was completely dry because I didn't want it to smear. And then I took white wax by DIY and put a lot on there, and then let it get down in the crevices of this spindle because I love that look. And then gave it a good waxing, and then went back with a second coat to give it more of that dimension look. And then I took the dark blue. Well, it looks dark blue because the Prom Queen is light. I tried to make a bow. It's kind of hard to do a bow with this ribbon, and I didn't like the bow, so we're just going to tie, a knot. and then have the little tails hang down, and I think this is so pretty. I'm going to use both of my spindles. I told the girls they did not have to use both spindles. They did not have to use, they could use as much or as little as they wanted to in the box. But I'm going to use both spindles. And I'm giving this a healthy coat of white wax by DIY. And I'm going to let it sit in there for a little bit. I'm trying to get a lot of it down in the nooks and crannies. And then I just barely wipe back some because I love the look of that white wax on a brown spindle. This one is so easy, guys. I don't even know if we can really count this as a DIY, because then I took this twine. This is the skinny twine. I have not been able to find this at Dollar Tree. It's usually in the automotive section, and there'll be like 3 of those little spools of it in a package. But I haven't seen that at my Dollar Tree or any Dollar Tree I've been in a very long time. Let me know if your Dollar Tree has it, if you're still able to get it there. They have the regular twine in the in the craft section. But yeah, so I had this little tag, these little tags that I got. I think I don't remember where I got these. Maybe at Hobby Lobby or maybe at Dollar Tree. I don't remember. But I just worked it down till I got it over the top of that spindle, and I'm just gonna tie. Well, so I was seeing if it fit, and then when I realized it fit, then I was like, oh well, I was gonna put something on that tag, so now I'm gonna have to work it and put something on the tag while it's on there, but that's okay. Then I just tied that twine that I had wrapped around it to the top. So okay, I messed this up, but okay, I put the K on there crooked, and I thought, well, I waxed it first, which was dumb. And then I thought, well, I'll just sand it a little bit and make it look rustic so you won't notice that it's crooked. And then I messed it up. Shame on me. Bad girl. I don't know. So I took Little Black Dress by DIY and just painted the whole thing. I just painted it all black. Then I took the white mixing ink, which I think you're supposed to mix with other inks to make them different colors, but we all use it like white ink. And then I did the K in white, and guess what? I like it. I like it. And then I just put some white wax on it to make it not so stark. Did I do white wax or clear wax? I don't know. I waxed it to seal it. And look, it's adorable. And lastly, but certainly not least, I'm going to attempt to make something with this chunky base thing. I painted it with layered chocolate, and then I had this wax warmer. It had a bulb in there, and you know, it was a wax warmer. And I took it all apart. Actually, my husband did, because I thought, I'm going to do something with that one of these days. And then this little wooden chunk was the lid to a candle that I saved because I'm a hoarder. I'm going to put a little bit of dark wax on there. I had painted that for a previous project and never used it. So it fits inside the bottom of that wax warmer perfectly. Now I'm clear waxing this layered chocolate paint to seal it in. And clear wax. Yes, I'm using clear wax. And then I'm going to glue this down inside the bottom of that, and it fit perfect. I'm taking golden rule, I think. Is it called golden rule? Golden ticket, golden something. I had it on the screen. It went before I got it. And I'm just going to brush that around all the edges and across the top of this little chunky base. I'm going to take Sandy Blonde and this little bird. Now this little bird is cute, but he's too yellow and too bright and too bold for me. I thought I was just going to dry brush him with some Sandy Blonde and just let a little bit of that bright yellow peek through, but it didn't really work. So I got a small paintbrush. I just painted him all sandy blonde. Not all, but the yellow. All the yellow I went over with some sandy blonde. Did you know that you could paint birds? Like these kind of birds? Well, I didn't know you could. I just decided to try it and it worked. And then I went back with a black paint marker in all the places that I kind of went crazy and got a little bit of sandy blonde over the black. I just took that black paint marker and just feathered it up and made it look good. This little bird looks cute. This little bird turned out cute. So in case you hadn't figured it out, this little wax warmer is going to be a little bird cage nest. So I'm going to take some, my friend Brandi, that you're gonna watch her video, or maybe you came here from her video. Leave a comment below and let me know. Did you come from Brandi or Tiffany's video, or are you going to go watch theirs after you watch mine? She calls it messy moss. I love that. We're going to use some messy moss and a little bit of greenery, and put that little bird down in there. And then we're going to glue the little candle warmer, the former candle warmer slash birdhouse now, bird nest, down to the top of it. So easy, so simple. Just throwing a bunch of upcycled things together. And of course, we have to put some of this chiffon ribbon on every project, and it's done. This sucker is so heavy too, guys. But I think it turned out beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me and my friends today. I really appreciate it. Be sure that you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed. Leave me a comment down below. And don't forget to check out my friends' videos to see what they created and how they created. But most of all, I want you to remember to be still and know that He is God.